So this is a follow-up to the post that I did earlier this week. I was at the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, or MBTI, certification in Dallas, and just wanted to follow up. It was a absolutely stellar event. Just thrilled. My history with MBTI actually goes back. My mom used it on me she was a licensed clinical social worker. And so I was exposed to it when I was in my teens. Thought it was a fad. Used it briefly in the late 90s. I was just beginning my work as a consultant, very young. But because of my educational background, I was able to actually purchase the materials. But I never got any formal training in it. So, I read what I could and I brought it out. And I learned how to do like most other people. I learned how to look at the difference between I and E, that is introversion and extroversion. I learned to look at the difference between N and S, which are functions. That's ways we take in information, perceiving functions, how we take in information. Intuition, the I's already taken, so they had to use an N. And versus sensing. T, thinking, versus feeling. Those are bases for judgment and not judging or perceiving our attitudes toward the outside world. One which is, let's stay open to the possibilities. One's which shorthand, let's come to conclusions. Let's make our choices, move on. Likes closure. Now, this is what I knew this stuff 30 years ago. Had it reinforced 20 years ago and would take people through. Long and short, my early experience said that Myers-Briggs, that there really was a couple of things. By combining these four letters, basically these are dichotomies, right? So it's either or. And when you do an MBTI, you score on each of these poles. So you come out with four letters. Well, 4 times 4 possibilities, 16. So there's 16 possible type combinations of these four letters. And so I kind of understood what each one of them meant and used them a few times with different groups, and they came out in the different 16 types. And my conclusion, this is right around 2000, was, you know what? This is so stinking complicated. Like, I'm trying to remember which of these four letters I am, and then what does that mean for how I relate to others? And, this is just this is too hard to understand to actually get anything useful out of it. So basically I left it as a tool. Now, I returned to it as of 3 weeks ago when a client said, Rob, we'd use you a whole lot more if you were MBTI certified. And I said, you know what? I can make that happen. So I went to MBTI certification. Long and short, it was a wonderfully powerful experience. I got to learn the theory behind the tool from a superb practitioner, Elizabeth Murphy, Murph, as she likes to be called, from people in the course who were just so stellar, such wonderful professionals from all walks of life sitting at the tables with such great dialogue and thoughts and insights that they were sharing. But I came away with an appreciation for the tool, for the rigor of the theory. Yes, it is not initially easy to understand, which is why an MBTI, unlike some other tools, requires, you can't just give somebody an MBTI and they say, hey, go take it and just read up on it. If you're going to do it ethically, it requires an interpretation by someone who has been trained and certified. And yet, there are depths of riches to be had with this. So I want to share with you just a couple of them that I walked away with. This is part of me actually learning. I am so taken by this that I put together a proposal for a client while I was there that's going to include, I'm going to work with their executive team, and we're going to use the MBTI as a tool to kind of look at the communication preferences for members of the team. It's going to be neat. But again, a couple of things that I learned that I didn't know before, if you'll indulge me, we'll practice this, was a little bit about what's called type dynamics. It's how do these functions interplay with one another to create unique personality? How does it look for us to grow and to develop? So I'll share just a couple of thoughts with you, and we can explore more on future videos. I look forward to it. But this was pretty cool. So I am actually what you saw. This is my breakdown. I am INTJ. Right? Those are my 4 letters. That is introverted, intuitive, thinking, judging. Now, what I learned was, how do we which of these are dominant? Which of these is the one that's in the driver's seat, if you will? And actually, technically, these are functions. These are attitudes which impact the functions. Now, the J tells us which of these 2 is extroverted. Okay, so it's the judging function. This is the judging function, so that's an E. And then this one tells us which is the primary. So this is I am dominant intuitive with introverted intuitive with a extroverted thinking function. Feeling is what's called my tertiary function. The last one is sensing, which is also extroverted. Now, some of the neat things that I learned about this. So again, while all 4 of these characterize me, this is the one that is my strongest. And I can validate after walking through it, that theory definitely holds true for me. I am a big picture thinker. I see patterns readily. In fact, I use it so much, I look for patterns when sometimes there's none, right? But big picture thinker. Least developed sensing, which is around the details, the nitty-gritty, the pieces that go into the whole. That's my least developed function. That is true. Now, this is what I do my thinking, my intuition, my grasping of patterns internally. So you won't see that from me. I won't do that out here. It'll be very quiet. It'll all be going on in my head, 100 miles an hour. But what'll come out will be my thinking, which will be extroverted. I like talking the ideas that have been produced. Feeling is called the tertiary. This just means third function. Thinking and feeling are both judging functions. That is how we make decisions. Feeling is basing your judgment, the basis for your judgment being personal morals, the people involved in the situation, and sensing is the least. Could go more further here, right? I'm still learning this, so thanks for doing it. But this is breaking down the developmental sequence. These 2 are most developed, these 2 are least developed. If I want to be focused in my growth, I'm going to see how can I bring more feeling into play day in and day out as part of the decisions that I make by deliberately calling in and asking some questions to do that. I'm also going to draw my attention deliberately to sensing. That's probably enough for this video here. Some other things. I want to get into what's called a step 2 because while INTJ compared to INTJ, yes, they both share the same pattern. They're going to look very different. And that's explained by what's called a step 2 administration and discussion. So thanks. I hope this interests you. If you're MBTI certified, even if you're not, if you like MBTI, let me just say this is the last thing. If MBTI interests you, I believe the certification was about $2,000. Okay, so not cheap. And I walked out of it, 4 days. I walked out of it thinking this was absolutely the best investment I'd made in myself in years. So high kudos to the Myers-Briggs Foundation for the training that it is. And I'm looking forward to using the tool with clients.